Hey guys, this is the Metal Jesus, and this is a music vinyl pickups video. Now, this is a companion bonus video to the games pickups video that I did with Reggie. The thing is, that video was, it was almost 45 minutes long, and so I didn't want to tack on some records at the end because it was just too long. So I thought, as a bonus on this Tuesday, I would show you what records I've picked up, and I've picked up about 16 of them so far. It's been a couple months. I'm gonna start with the big one, literally and figuratively, and that is Dream Theater's The Astonishing. Going big. This is their latest album, and it's probably their most ambitious album to date. What's really cool about this vinyl collection here is that it has over 2 hours of new music, and it's 4 albums, and all of them are 180 gram vinyl, and they're housed in custom holders here. So if you can imagine 4 vinyl records, there's 8 sides to this. This is a crazy album. And each one of these is custom, like the sleeves are custom and unique to this version, and it also comes with a fold-out map. This album is it's a concept album, and it takes place in the future, and it includes this map to help you kind of figure out where the story is and how they're getting from one place to another. So this was something that when they released the album, I pre-ordered immediately, and then you had to wait like 6 months to get. But definitely one of the most, I don't know, kind of big and crazy progressive rock albums in my collection. Next up is a band called Bloodbath. This is an album called Grand Morbid Funeral, and Bloodbath is like a Swedish death metal supergroup, and it has members from Opeth in here, also Paradise Lost, and also Catatonia. And this is probably the most hardcore album in my collection. This is old school death metal. It's nasty, it's fast, it's dirty, it's loud, it's growly. It's pretty epic stuff here. And all the way down to the artwork, where they got dead bodies that are ripped open. It's gnarly, but again, cool to have this in my collection. I don't have a lot of this kind of music, but when I heard that members of Opeth were in here, I guess the drummer and also the singer, I had to have it. Next up is a classic from the 80s I did not own on vinyl, but now I do. It is Randy Rhoads' Tribute by Ozzy Osbourne. I used to have this actually on vinyl back in high school, and for whatever reason I got rid of it when I moved. But this is a classic live album, and it's one of the most blistering performances by Mr. Randy Rhoads. And this is a really cool album. I like it because it has the album cover is just iconic. It's got Ozzy holding him up. It just looks like it's just such a cool album cover. Plus, it's got a note on the back. I guess it's handwritten by Ozzy. It's just a total tribute. Also, the last side on this has an outtake from the song D. So that's a really cool instrumental song by Randy Rhoads. So cool to have that. Next up is a donation from my buddy Casey. Casey is the one he's a local game collector, and when he's out and about, he sometimes runs into vinyl, and he knows I collect for it, so he donated this. That is the Conan the Barbarian soundtrack. This is the soundtrack to the original movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day. And this is a really, really good soundtrack. I was blown away by it. What's cool about this, if you've seen the movie, you know those first couple minutes of the movie are mostly silent whenever I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure most of you have, but there's some very emotional stuff that happens in the beginning of this movie to set up Conan and his rise to power, and how his family was cut down and how he was put into slavery. Anyways, the music is classic, and it's cool to have this in my collection. Thank you very much, Casey. Next up is something a little different. So we've gone from progressive rock to metal to classic rock to soundtracks. Now we're gonna go to, I'm not sure what you would call this band. I don't know if you call them trip hop, but it's 07, and the album is Simple Things. Recently on my phone, I have a music app on there, and it recommends new music to me, and every once in a while it'll put something on there that I'm not familiar with, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll check that out. Well, 07 came up, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out, sure. This is awesome. It's really trippy, trip hop, you know, that kind of like mix of slow electronic music and kind of jazz overtones. I'm not really sure how to describe it other than it just kind of blew me away. I became a fan instantly. I bought the MP3 version, and then I ran into the vinyl version at a local retro store. And in that retro store, they have like games and all sorts of stuff and vinyl, and this was sitting there. So I was like, huh, sure, I'll take that. That's pretty cool. Next up, I was in a Half Price Books recently, and they also collect, or they sell vinyl. A lot of used vinyl that people bring in, and then they resell it. Usually I don't find much there, but for whatever reason, they had an entire collection of classic Whitesnake albums. And I am a old school Whitesnake fan. My dad actually introduced me to Whitesnake back in 1987 when that classic 1987 Whitesnake album came out with Still the Night, all that sort of stuff. Here I go again. And then I realized in high school that Whitesnake actually had a long history before they ever became popular in the United States. And that's kind of what these albums are. These albums represent David Coverdale, who was the singer in Deep Purple, busting out on his own and doing a bunch of really cool stuff. These are great blues rock albums that I think not a lot of Whitesnake fans know about, or maybe if they do, they don't really go back often and check them out. But there's some classic songs on here, and it was cool to get the records. Next up, we're going to go a little bit newer. So I'm not the biggest fan of Stryper. I think that they're okay. I was never into the whole Bible thumping thing growing up. I thought it was, you know, it is what it is. If you're into it, that's great. I'm always about the music. But No More Hell to Pay is a newer Stryper album. And many people consider this to be, a comeback is not the right word, because they never really went away, but there was a couple decades where I just ignored them, and I think most people did, you know, through the 90s and maybe the 2000s. But man, this is a return to some excellent songwriting. This is a really solid album, and what's really cool about this is that it comes in blue vinyl. It's actually really gorgeous looking. So I didn't realize it was going to come in colored vinyl, but when you can get colored vinyl, it's always kind of a cool thing to have. All right, next up, I'm going for a complete Kiss collection, and I have to put a little caveat on that, is that I'm not going for every single release. I really just want all of their official releases, which isn't super hard to do. They have 35 albums or something like that if you count like the compilations and the best ofs and stuff like that. But I was missing some of their main albums, and Music from the Elder was one of those. Now, I'm laughing because this is notoriously considered one of their worst albums, and I don't know if I would argue with that. It's horrible. This came out at a time whenever, in the late 70s, where Kiss thought they could do no wrong. And this is a progressive rock album at its core, and it's weird. It's really weird. It's like Kiss forgot about what made Kiss good, and they tried to kind of be Pink Floyd. It's bizarre. But I have to have it if I'm going to have a complete collection, and they recently re-released a bunch of their albums on 180 gram audiophile vinyl, and so that's what this is. And to be fair, there is some good songs on this that I do like. Most of them are the Ace Frehley guitar songs. Dark Light is one of those, and also Escape from the Island is an instrumental song that is actually pretty cool. So that's a Kiss album, but that's not all. Kiss also released Kiss Alive, the Millennium Concert. So this is a live album, but the cool thing about this is that I was here. So not at the tour, but actually at this show. Back in New Year's Eve, 1999, I was up in Vancouver, Canada for my very first Kiss show. And what was cool about this show was that it was the original band from the 70s dressed up in their makeup, and they did not disappoint. And so that's what this recording is. And I, you know, since I was there, I had to get this, right? it's pretty cool. The one thing I would say though about this, unfortunately, which is really disappointing, is that while the records are actually really high quality, very, very sturdy, you know, 180 gram thick vinyl, but it's bare bones. Like, there's nothing else in here other than the music. And if you know Kiss, all throughout the 70s, man, they packed their albums with all sorts of really cool stuff. You know, you have booklets in there and stickers and posters and things you can put together like a love gun. There's nothing in this. So it's kind of a little bit of a throwaway in that regard. It's a little disappointing. You know, if you love Kiss, you love for all the really cheesy stuff that they do, and that was a little bit disappointing, but I can live with it. Next up is something you may not expect. Back in the 90s, I used to work at a local record store, Tapes and Records, and yes, we sold tapes and records and CDs. And at the time, we would get a lot of albums that would come from the local distribution center to play, to, you know, try out, to play in our store and stuff like that. And one album came in. It was by a band called Cocteau Twins, and it's not the type of music I would normally listen to. It's on a record label called 4AD, and it's really more dream pop. Honestly, it's the kind of music that you listen to if you want to really chill out. It's very beautiful. You know, very mellow, but it's cool stuff, and I fell in love with it at the time. Well, I ran into their album. This looks like it's a best of. It's called Stars and Topsoil, a collection from 1982 to 1990, and I saw this. I was like, hell yeah, I'm a big fan of the Cocteau Twins. I don't have much of their stuff on vinyl, and it's not typically the stuff I would normally collect, but occasionally, I hate to admit this, but occasionally, if I'm hungover, like on a Sunday morning, this is the best music for that. Like, this cures hangovers. If you just want to sit on the couch on a Sunday morning and veg out, Cocteau Twins, guaranteed. My tip to you. All right, next up. So I'm going for a complete Kiss collection, like I mentioned. I'm also going for a complete Motley Crue collection, which is way easier because Motley Crue didn't release that many albums. But I didn't have one of their best albums, and that is Dr. Feelgood. This is a re-release that they did, and it is on green vinyl. So that's pretty cool. Dr. Feelgood is definitely one of the better kind of hair metal butt rock albums from the era. One thing of note here is that I saw this tour when it came out, so I think I was literally a senior in high school or something like that, maybe a junior. But anyways, and so I got to see the Dr. Feelgood tour, and now I have the vinyl record. Awesome. Next up, this is the last one of the 12 inches. This is a newer album as well. A band called Halestorm is a band I've been getting into a lot lately, specifically because I grew up on the band Heart. Heart is a lot of you guys will know what Heart is. They have the song Barracuda. They have some amazing female vocals, and no one has really captured that passion and energy quite like Halestorm. And this is probably their best album here. It's called The Strange Case Of. This is a great album pretty much from beginning to end. It has songs like Love Bites, Mr. Hyde, I Miss the Misery, Freak Like Me. What else is Here's to Us. This is a really solid, fun, hard rock album. And I believe it's also, it is clear vinyl, which is pretty neat, right? One thing I should say about colored vinyl, though, it's important to know is that if you are a collector of vinyl, you know that while colored vinyl is kind of cool and it's neat, but ultimately though, it's not of the same quality as black vinyl. And the reason for that is because black vinyl has little tiny bits of carbon in it to, I guess, make it stronger and last longer. And so most audiophiles actually would not consider this to be the definitive version of an album. It's a cool version, don't get me wrong, but if you are getting into vinyl collecting and you are seeing black go for more than color, that's usually the reason why. Is that now to be fair though, this is very close. In other words, it's just in order to get these kind of colors or this clear, they're just using a different kind of compound, I guess. And again, I'm not an expert on it, but it just means that instead of being like 100% audiophile, it's like 90 or 95%. Most people will never tell the difference, but it's something to look out for if you're just getting into collecting vinyl. And speaking of Halestorm, there were a couple record store day exclusives, and I saw this one. I picked it up just on a whim. It's a 10-inch, and it's Into the Wild Live at Chicago. Basically, it's a live album. It's partly acoustic, I believe, and then partly electric. I listened to it that one day, but it is also colored vinyl as well. So it's kind of got a cool, looks like a black and brown sort of thing. The final one I'm going to show you, I'm not going to show you. I can't. I can't show it to you because it's actually pornographic. You know what? I'm not even going to lift it up because I have to. Well, okay, I'll lift it up like this. There you go. It's the Rob Zombie Record Store Day release that he did on 10-inch, and it's pornographic. Like, I can't show it to you at all. It's so pornographic actually that going up there to the counter, I was embarrassed. Now it's like cartoon drawings, but they're doing very naughty stuff. The reason why I want to bring it up though is because it has one really cool feature. It has two of them actually. The music side plays from the inside to the out. So that's kind of neat, right? But then you flip it over and it's laser etched. So that was a complete surprise. I didn't know it was going to be like that. You know, Rob Zombie, when he releases albums, he usually goes all out, makes them really fun. But again, this one was kind of interesting going up to the counter and paying for it because I was like, but the guy didn't seem to care, so I was the one who was embarrassed. But anyway, so those are some of the vinyl pickups I've picked up in the last couple months. I would love to know what you guys thought of the ones I got. It's kind of all over the place, mostly hard rock, but some metal. But if there is a vinyl record out there that you think would be cool in my collection, definitely let me know down in the comments. Also, I am on the site Discogs, so I'll put a link to that down below if you want to see my entire collection. You can actually kind of hook up and get friends and stuff like that and follow each other on Discogs, and also do trading and things like that. It's a really cool site. I actually use the app on my phone. Basically, whenever I'm adding inventory, you just scan the barcodes with the app and it adds it to your collection and the site. Very cool. So, all right, guys, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and take care. If you like this vinyl record collecting video, I happen to have a couple more on my channel that you may like. I've linked to them up in the corner, so click on those to check them out. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I release 2 new videos every single week. Thanks for watching.